Welcome to Perry Arts, and there's no pottery classes happening at all. I want to show you briefly how you would take it from this stage into a slab. So really we're just going to smush it out, and then we're going to bang it out. So this, there you go. By working it out a little bit, the canvas will draw the excess moisture out, and it should be not bad. Now, once you have it thrown out, what you can do, if you have it, is have two runners down the sides to make so that your roller is resting evenly on those to roll out an even slab. If you have that, great. If you don't, let's make do. So again, we're going to do both sides, both directions. And that's happening because my canvas is getting wet from wedging. So I'm going to try and find a dry spot. I wanted to show you how to do a slab mug. So how to do slabs at home. So we've already rolled out this slab, and while we are waiting for it to set up, I went ahead and made a rubber rib from a yogurt lid. So this actually works pretty good, not bad. And this just compresses the particles both directions. Both sides on you. So now once we have our clay worked out and we've compressed the particles both directions, both sides, and it's still a very soft slab. So we're just going to go ahead, and you can use a straight edge for this, but I'm just going to go ahead and cut that. So I'm going to come straight down here. This is the top of my mug, and this is the bottom of my mug. So you know, you can decide how tall you want this mug. So we're going to keep these to the side and just cut the top off nice and straight. And then we're going to roll it in. But before we do that, I'm just going to bevel this one side with my thumb a little bit so that we can get a nice connection point there. And then I'm going to look at how this is going to join. And again, sorry, I didn't work this out ahead of time. I want to do it this way so you can see what I'm doing. And I also want the beveled side on the outside. So remember, clay has memory. So when you're doing that, when you're moving it back and forth like that, it's going to increase your chances of cracking. So try to avoid it. So we're going to join right about there, and then we're going to create this part to snuggle. So that's going to be the snuggle handle, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our trusty tools that we like, whichever one you chose that you like, and make a line. You can just make the scratches like this. But of course, if you have one, it's nice to just go straight up like this. And remember, we've made our slip. Straight that. Because if you're not using slip, you have to really, you've heard me say this before, smush well. So you have to really make sure those clay particles are really well joined. So we're going to just go in there and we're going to combine that. There. If we have tools, it's nice to use tools. If we don't, you have to just sort of do it with your finger. But because I have this handy little tool here, I'm going to use this because it has a nice round edge. And that is going to be perfect for just blending this in. Now the other thing we want to do is I want to show you how we can manipulate soft slabs. So you don't have to be restricted to this straight form, which we do most often in our classes. You can push it out and create a belly, but what we want to do for our snuggle mug is we want to sort of pull it in and give it like a waist. And then this one we want to bevel out a little bit. So I'm going to support it with my other hand, and I'm just going to sort of pet the clay from the inside, and that's going to, on a pot, create a belly, what we call that, the belly. But I don't know what you'd call it on this part because this is a little different. And we just want to create that space for our hand to slip into. So we're going to join here. Here. Smooth out your edges. Now for mine, I like that organic sort of look to the line, so I don't get too fussy about it. But you can, right? You can clean it up and cut the perfect curve before you get started. Now the thing about the slab mug, when for making it functional, is this lip. So we've cut this sharp edge here, and it has a corner here and it has a corner here, both on the outside and the inside. So we want to soften that up. So on the wheel, these chamois work great. You can just put it on the wheel and turn it. Let's get a bottom on it first. So we're gonna, once we get the bottom to the shape we want it, I like a little more movement in my mug, honestly, you know, like a little more softness to it. So I'm gonna give it a belly here, even though we pulled in the waist there, so it's gonna look like it's sort of leaning like this, but that kind of gives it personality. So all right, so once we have the shape we want for the base, we can go ahead and cut that out. We're going to fix that up too. We are not done. We just want to get a bottom on this guy first. And of course, I'm trying to move quickly for you guys, so I'm not wasting too much time, but the more time you spend on every stage, the better craftsmanship you're going to get, right? So you probably want to spend a little more time just finessing those joins, but we'll just move quickly so that this video isn't an hour and a half long. So we put scratches on both sides, we put the slip on both sides. right, so once we've got the foot or the base well joined, the way we can do a foot is just use the palm of your hand here and just tap, tap, tap. So then this part becomes the foot. Not too much. This is when you might want to sign your name here. And now that join on the inside, I'm not sure if you can really see it with this camera, but you can see that it's quite a sloppy join. If you work with clay, you know what I'm talking about already. So what I like to go in with is a wooden tool. I think this coffee stick is going to do the trick for us today. Just something small with that round edge, right? And we're just going to go into that join and clean that up. Take the extra clay off. So I have a cleanup water handy, and I have a clay towel handy that I only ever use for clay. Just trying to keep the kitchen space and the clay space separate all the time. I can continue finessing this probably indefinitely, but I won't. I think that's more or less what we're after, except now we have to give this handle a little attention. So we want to make sure we've smoothed out that edge quite nicely, and we need to reinforce these connection points. So for that, just take a little ball of clay, little slip, and then press that little round coil into a little triangle. And just slip it right in there further. And then I'm just going to smooth that out. I can't do this. So resist the urge to put water on your clay when you're smoothing out joins and cracks, because it'll make it crack more. Usually the oils from your fingers is enough, which is why you need hand lotion after you work with clay. But if it isn't, touch a damp sponge, just moisten your fingers, and that's it. Just rub it in a bit and then go back in there. Too much water on the surface of the clay is going to create problems for you. So again, I might want to finesse this out a bit more and sort of fiddle with it, but essentially that is how you make a slab snuggle mug at home.